I have become sort of fascinated with the Morning Joe, with Joe and Mika, especially in the mornings when I'm fixing Molly's breakfast. And I'm still kind of blurry eyed, blurry minded, drinking a cup of coffee and switch on the big ass TV and watch and just, oh my God, gets me ready for this program, as a matter of fact. But anyway, this morning, apparently, according to Raw Story, Scarborough hammered Stephen Miller, the Nazi Jew, for what Scarborough called Miller's embarrassing CNN appearance when he was sucking up to the president. And if you remember, I don't know if you saw it or if you saw the video, but Tapper pointed out to him right before Jake Tapper broomed him out of the studio, got him the fuck off camera, and I hope he never brings him back. But Tapper said to the little Nazi, "You are playing to an audience of one," meaning Trump. "You are sucking up to the president." Now, Jake Tapper didn't say that, Joe Scarborough did. But that's all Miller was doing. Because Miller knows, I mean, he's not a stupid man. He's just an evil man. A lot of people can be very bright and very evil. Stephen Miller is one of those. So Miller understands what his boss wants, needs, and demands. And that's a stroke job at every possible moment. No matter what you're doing, if you work for Trump, at some time, every hour, you've got to turn around and stroke him. If you don't stroke him, he might become angry at you and give you a nickname like Sloppy Steve or Crooked Hillary. With Steve Miller, Miller doesn't want one of those nicknames. Miller doesn't want to be called Shitty Steve. You know, Sloppy Steve is gone. If there's one thing Miller is not, is sloppy. He's just like Joseph Goebbels, perfectly dressed. So anyway, I digress. Tapper said he was playing to an audience of one. And keep in mind that this little Nazi Jew serves as a senior advisor, mind you, to the President of the United States. Of course, so does Trump's daughter Ivanka, the always perfectly coiffed, well made up, and beautiful shoes Ivanka. She's a senior advisor too, so is Jared Kushner. Scarborough said, quote, "We saw that last season, the suck-up, in the debut season of Trump, the presidency. I already saw that Stephen Miller episode." If you remember what Scarborough was referencing was when Miller came out on a Sunday shortly after Trump assumed the presidency and he went on every single network, the broadcast networks and the three major cable networks. He went on every single two major cable networks and the Fox sewer. There's a difference. So Miller was out there that Sunday on every single broadcast outlet that he could get on. And if you remember, he stood, very good attention, demanding that the leader not be questioned. That what the leader was doing was to make America great again. And any questioning to the contrary was treasonous. You remember that? That's when it became apparent to me. I guess a lot of people knew this long before I did, but that's when it became apparent to me that Stephen Miller was either a reincarnation of Goebbels or he wanted to be Goebbels here in the 21st century. Anyway, according to Raw Story, Miller was widely panned for an early round of interviews just weeks into the administration. That's what I just talked about. But Scarborough told MSNBC analyst Elise Jordan that this weekend's appearance which ended with him being reportedly escorted from CNN by security, signaled a new low. Oh my God. I'll tell you, security, I don't know where Tapper is. I don't know if Jake Tapper is in the New York office, probably, or here in the Atlanta office, probably not, in the Atlanta headquarters. But the security at CNN is what you would expect it to be. The 2 times I worked there, I was always impressed with the intensity of the security guards. I don't know where they came from, but a number of them were armed, a number of them were not, but their presence, their demeanor, their countenance made it very clear that you didn't want to fuck with CNN security guards. Now, the thing about CNN here in Atlanta, which is either good or bad or neither, but CNN is located in the Atlanta, you might call it the sports complex. It's where Mercedes-Benz Stadium is, where you'll see the game tonight, or you've already seen it, or it's playing, or what have you. It's where some of the big venues for sports and entertainment are located. And right within that collection of huge buildings sits CNN. But the front door of CNN opens right onto the goddamn street, and it's a narrow street to begin with. And I think they finally did put the concrete abutments out in front of CNN to prevent somebody from Fox News driving through with a truckload of dynamite, probably Hannity. Sean, that's an idea. So the fact that Stephen Miller was escorted off the premises by CNN security guards is just priceless to me. Miller is such a skinny little pale-faced son of a bitch, and the guards, the security guards at CNN, black and white, are not skinny. Matter of fact, they're pretty bulked up. And the ones that are armed wear Kevlar vests. Am I allowed to say that? I guess so. I can see them giving Stephen Miller the bum's rush out of the building, and I would hope that when they got to the door, somebody opened the door and they tossed the skinny little fuck into the street. That would have been perfect. You know, like the old cowboy movies, right, where a couple of drunk cowboys get in a fight and one of them comes crashing through the swinging doors, right? I would have loved to have seen them do that to Miller. Anyway, Scarborough was talking to Elise, what's her last name? Elise Jordan, who is an MSNBC analyst. This is what he said, quote, "When you worked, Elise, for other presidents and the State Department, we would actually send people that worked for the United States of America on Sunday shows to send messages to friends and enemies alike across the globe. Now the White House sends people out just to kiss up to the President of the United States. And what's so remarkable, everybody knows that is the only purpose. It is, as Jake Tapper said, to be obsequious and humiliate yourself in hopes that the president will be excited." Excited. Mike Barnacle, who has a bit of a shady past himself. When he was a columnist for the Boston Globe, there was that little plagiarism issue, right, Mike? But anyway, he's more or less redeemed himself from all of that nastiness, being a consultant and now a regular on Morning Joe. But Barnacle said that Stephen Miller's willingness to debase himself in the White House was pathetic. Now, you and I don't need Mike Barnacle or Joe Scarborough or Mika Brzezinski or Jesus Christ to tell us that Stephen Miller's performance, which is what it was pathetic and obsequious. Stephen Miller's like a little worm, just a little worm.